Former White House Deputy Chief of Staff Karl Rove looking at all these developments right now. Karl, you know, obviously as a Texan, I think you said a transplanted Texan, but still a Texan nonetheless. This has been remarkable to follow. I know more federal aid is requested and will likely be given, but this is something the likes of which a cooperation across political boundaries and titles. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this.
Yeah, look, it's a great testament. In a time of a national emergency like this, people think the federal government is in charge, but under the Stafford Act, the governors of the affected states are in charge. And our governor, Greg Abbott, has spent a lot of time in his first term in office planning and preparing for a moment like this, going through tabletop exercises with the affected agencies and local governments. And so when this came on, the state was ready, maybe not ready for as big an event as we've had, but nonetheless ready, and we've seen it in how Texas has handled this. We have this great relationship between our state government and the major affected counties, particularly Harris County, Houston, and the city of Houston. But we also have this Texas spirit that causes a lot of people to step forward in a moment of need and serve their state and their community, and it's been great to see.
It is remarkable to see. You know, I'm curious, I wonder how it changes the posture in Washington. I mean, with this backdrop, there's been a lot of talk of camaraderie in Washington, and off the table, we're told, is even considering a government shutdown, no longer there, especially if it would do anything to risk endangering getting aid money to Texas. What do you think?
Well, I hope it does engender a different spirit in Washington, one in which there's less partisanship and more cooperation on getting things done. Neil, this may surprise you. Over my shoulder is the Texas State Capitol. Now, politics in Texas is a blood sport. We take our elections very seriously. But it'll amaze you. There are 100 Republicans in the Texas House, 50 Democrats, and we don't organize on a partisan basis. There are Democratic committee chairs and Republican committee chairs in the House. In the Senate, there are 31 senators, 11 Democrats and 20 Republicans. And again, there are Democratic committee chairs and Republican committee chairs in the Senate. We meet for 140 days every 2 years, second most populous state in the union, and our legislature is not in session like so many are, day in and day out, 140 days every 2 years, and we get the job done, and we check our partisanship at the door to the greatest degree possible. And you see this with a Democrat mayor in Houston, Sylvester Turner, who served in our legislature, Ed Emmett, the Republican county judge of Harris County, who served in the legislature as a Republican, and Greg Abbott, our Republican governor, working seamlessly together to confront this crisis. It says something about the Texas spirit and the Texas way. Maybe Washington ought to pay more attention to what we do in Texas and meet every 140 days for 2 years, rather than endlessly all the time.
Yeah, could you imagine? I did want to get a sense of this aid that could be significant when all is said and done, and a lot of people are afraid, conservatives in your party who are afraid, well, don't overdo it, don't make this like the Sandy aid package that got north of $60 billion. You remember the ruckus that caused with New Jersey Governor Chris Christie bemoaning Speaker Boehner, dragging something that should have gone to the New Jerseyans and those affected by Sandy. Now, to be fair to Speaker Boehner, at the time, they'd thrown out a lot of pork with this. There's the same risk here. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think there is a risk whenever you talk about this. You want to do what's appropriate and sufficient, but you don't want to go overboard. I mean, I remember during Katrina, we had requests from the state of Louisiana for like tourism advertising in the immediate aftermath of Katrina. We had requests to build a monorail from the airport to downtown. They wanted us to go back and pay for 80 years of deferred maintenance on the wastewater systems in New Orleans that they deferred. They suddenly now turned around and wanted the federal government to pick up the tab. And that's not allowed under federal law. So, yeah, let's be careful about it. Texans are a conservative lot, but we are hurting, and we do need some help. All we ask is fair treatment. What's given to others in moments of crisis like this, Texans ought to have a fair shot at.
Fair enough. Karl Rove, good seeing you again.
Thank you, Neil.